Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen to Brian Shapiro. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!
Yeah, what's up, Vegas? I'm pumped up back in studio, baby. Welcome. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Monday. It's been a little while since we've been here live in studio. Last show we did was on Wednesday. Then we took the 4th of July off and the 5th. We deserve a little time off now and then. You know, doing this radio thing, it's hard work, man. It's manual labor. Listen, I'm just joking, but it is a little mentally draining. We needed a few days off. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July, extended weekend, hopefully. And glad you could join us. Of course, it's Monday, so that means Chris Wynn joins us in studio along with J.D. Sharp. I'm Brian Shapiro. We got a lot to get to today, as we always do. But, and by the way, coming up in hour number 2, the head coach of Findlay Prep, we're talking about one of the best high school basketball programs in the country, and it has been for the last 6 or 7 years. Rodney Haddix is the head coach. Since he's been there as an assistant, I think they're pretty good. They've been 153-19, their record. Unbelievable. So Rodney going to join us in studio. We're going to obviously talk about all the NBA acquisitions, the trades, NBA Summer League, everything. But C-Win, the first thing I want to talk about, and I want to get your perspective on this as well, are the earthquakes that took place Thursday and Friday.
Yes.
I want to give my story first, C-Win, and then I want to get yours. So Thursday, I'm just sitting in my apartment. I'm actually speaking with JD's father on the phone. And I'm sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden, the couch starts shaking. And I'm like, wow, is that my air conditioning? I'm like, what's going on? Because I'd never been in an earthquake before. Then I see the TV vibrating, and I see a couple pictures on my wall fall down. It was pretty violent. It was scary. And the first thing that came to my mind is there something wrong with my equilibrium? Like, is there something wrong with me? Because I'd never experienced that before. But then when I saw the pictures fall down, I'm like, okay, this is an earthquake. And I told JD's father, I said, okay, I think this is an earthquake. And then, of course, I go on social media, and immediately it's there. You know, there was an earthquake about 200 miles away. So it was kind of scary, I'll be honest, but not as scary as what took place for me on Friday. I took a friend of mine, Larry, and his wife and his son. I took them to a comedy show at the Stratosphere. It's a comedy club called the LA Comedy Club, but it's not in LA. But it's here at the Stratosphere, and it holds maybe about 100, 150 people. We're seeing a comedian that I know, friend of a friend. So we're sitting there. It's about 5 minutes before the show. I'm going to guess it was around 7:50 or something like that.
Yeah.
And the entire comedy club starts shaking back and forth violently for 20 to 25 seconds. And again, it wasn't just a little shaky-do. It was violently shaking. The entire room was kind of shaking back and forth. So I get up. The people I'm with are freaking out. At least half the people in the comedy club walk out because they're freaking out. Got to understand, we're in a very large structure, okay? The Stratosphere is a large structure. The room is shaking back and forth. It gives you a very uneasy feeling. I don't know what's going to happen. I had no idea. So I get up. I'm freaking out. The comedy show ended up starting like 25 minutes late. And it was just really a surreal, scary experience because, again, I've never been involved in something like that. And it so happens that the friend that I'm with at the time was in the middle of the Oakland earthquake that took place years ago. So he's freaking out. I'm freaking out. Everyone in the comedy club, I shouldn't say everybody, but at least half the people are freaking out. And they're scared. And, we go back into the show and everything turns out just fine. And then I learned that the NBA Summer League that night had to cancel one of their games in the Thomas and Mack Center because the scoreboard up top and the speakers were moving back and forth and the stands were moving. This was a really scary situation. And look, it wasn't a 7.1 here. I understand that. But there are many people in Vegas that have never experienced something like that. Certainly, I never did. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is it was a bigger deal than some people made it to be. It depended on where you were. When you cancel an NBA game in a huge arena, that is a big deal. And it was scary. It was a very scary situation, Chris.
Well, here's the thing about earthquakes. It's not necessarily, you're saying whether it's a big deal or not a big deal. The word is uncertainty, right? People just don't understand whether or not how big it's going to be or how long it's going to last, right? And you don't know exactly what type of damage could be done or will be done when it comes to an earthquake. And so, my experience, of course, on Thursday, I happened to be at home at my house down in Spring Valley, right by Chinatown. And I, to preface this, have never experienced any earthquake or been around any aftershock or anything like that. So I had no idea what was going on. I happened to be just lounging around in my bedroom on the top floor of a 2-floor house, right, watching TV.
What a pretty picture
and
that
thinking
is,
to myself, yeah, it is a pretty picture. I guarantee it.
No, hold on a second. No, wait, was your shirt off?
It was not off. I had a T-shirt on and some athletic shorts. I just hit the gym.
We're talking like Tom Cruise Risky Business style?
It was no, there were no tighty-whities involved. Okay. There was no dancing to Bob Seger.
Were you watching,
although I do like Bob Seger.
Were you watching Skinamax at the time?
I was not watching any softcore pornography or anything of that nature.
That's
I
too
happened
bad.
to be watching, I believe, the news.
Why don't we just lie and let's pretend that you were? I'm sorry, go ahead.
So anyway, I'm sitting there and have someone who has never experienced anything like that. I'm thinking to myself, well, I thought there was 25 massive professional wrestlers on my roof or something moving the house back and forth. I'm like, are we having renovations done on the house? Because the house was shaking, for about a good, I would say 15 to 20 seconds, 25 seconds. I noticed it. But it's not something I ever experienced before. Now, of course, on Friday, it was a little bit different. I happened to be at NBA Summer League, right, at the Thomas and Mack. Happened to leave about 15 to 20 minutes before it went down, and I was at the Palazzo down on the Las Vegas Strip, the hotel. And there were chandeliers shaking in the restaurant I was at. It was much more scary thing. Now, obviously, okay, Brian and JD, in an arena that where there's thousands of people in the Thomas and Mack Center, okay, and in the Cox Pavilion as well, too, that would create a major uneasiness among people there because, again, go back to the word uncertainty. You don't know how bad it could be or how, damaging it could be or what could take place. You mentioned the arena. Yeah, the scoreboard shaking, just being in an arena with that many people. I was not there, but there was a lot of video. People were, sending out a lot of cell phone videos, and there was a lot of, obviously documentation of what was going on there. And there was people who were very uneasy and very panicked.
I want to get some stories from a few other people here. Let me start with JD. JD wearing a very, very nice Greg Norman collared shirt, by the way. You got the shark shirt. I like that. JD, where were you on Thursday and Friday? What was the experience like for you for this earthquake?
Okay, so the first one I was at home. I didn't feel a thing. I had no idea what had happened. I saw it I think Las Vegas locally or someone made a post about it or Vital Vegas, and I was like, oh, okay, this definitely happened. The second one it was so packed at Summer League. I think, what was it, Friday?
Yeah.
That I was standing next to, I believe, 7'3" Bol and 6'11" Michael Porter Jr. for about 35 minutes.
I had just left you, right, JD? I had just left JD at Summer League.
Everybody around me was so tall and it was so packed, I didn't even know where to go. So I just left. I left like 5 minutes before this thing hit. I'm sitting in my car in the media parking lot, and I think I'm hallucinating because my car starts bouncing up and down, and people are taking pictures left and right all around me. And I'm like, what is going on right now?
Your car was bouncing up and down. That sounds like one of my successful dates.
It does.
Yeah.
But totally different situation.
I would hope so. You're married. Yeah,
100%.
So. Okay.
Totally different situation. But yeah, so my car it's like it's got hydraulics. It's literally bouncing up and down. I'm confused as to what's going on. And people are taking pictures of my car while it's doing it. I would have thought somebody was
getting on. Somebody was getting it on.
It was completely crazy.
Hold on.
I literally thought I was high on drugs.
Do you think that people were taking pictures of your car because they thought somebody was doing the nasty in your car, or because they thought that there was an earthquake, or maybe both?
I would say 60-40 earthquake.
Oh, so there's like a line now. Okay, so plus 120 that they were taking pictures.
That's pretty impressive. He thinks 40% were actually doing it for another reason other than the earthquake.
Well, that is a scary story. You're in your car, it's bouncing up and down. It really is. All right, I want to go to Ken, our producer. By the way, let me just announce this. Ken has been our producer for a while now, and he has done a fantastic job. And today happens to be Ken's last day, so my co-host JD has bought a lot of candies to give him some cavities.
I have about $22 here of sour-oriented gummy candy for you.
That is a great gift.
For your last day.
That is a great gift. Congrats. Well, Ken, let me just say, we're going to miss you, my friend. You have done a phenomenal job for us. You're really good at what you do. Moving on to bigger and better things, I would imagine. You got to get off this stupid radio show, so I don't blame you. But no, Ken, in all seriousness, where were you on Friday, and what was your experience like for this earthquake?
So on Friday, I was actually in L.A. I was down on Hollywood and Vine trying to parallel park my truck.
Oh, wow.
And all of a sudden, I felt it shaking, and I was like, I know my truck, will shake when you try to park, but at first I didn't know what was happening. I looked over to my friend, and it's like, I think we're in an earthquake.
Wow. That's wild, man. That's so crazy. Everyone's got stories like that. I want to open up the phone lines because I just want to get a perspective from some of the callers. I want to know where you were, what you thought was going on. So I'll open up the phone lines now. It's 702-257-5396. What I want to know is where were you? What was going through your mind when this earthquake happened? Maybe Thursday or Friday. My experience on Friday was a little bit more frightening than Thursday. Thursday I was in my apartment. Friday I'm in the stratosphere. I want to know where you guys were. What do you make of this earthquake? Is it a sign of things to come? Are we going to see more of these? The number to call if you want to be a part of the program is 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program is 257-5396. It's a little bit unfortunate that, I'm watching CNN and Fox News when I get home on Friday night, and all of a sudden I see that some of the networks are interviewing people that were at the Summer League, and they're showing video. So this made national news. This is a big deal. It's a big deal when you cancel a basketball game. It's a big deal when on Friday it was only 150 miles away where this earthquake struck. This is a big deal. It's a really big deal because you've got all these high rises here, 20 to 30 stories tall. And if infrastructure, if foundation can be disrupted in these major casinos, it could cost the city and certain investors billions and billions of dollars, not to mention risk how many lives in the process. Oh, no question. No question. I agree. Don't worry, Chris. We're going to get to your good old buddy, Donald Trump, very soon, but I do want to take some phone calls on this. Where were you when this earthquake happened Thursday, Friday? Were you frightened? I want to hear your stories out there because this show is, like I said, one of the most interactive shows you will find, if not the most interactive show. We always love our listeners calling in. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's start off with Norm. Norm, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you, Norm?
Mr. Shapiro is bleeping lazy. He refuses to work bleeping Fridays, and he expects to get paid like he works 5 bleeping days.
Norm, what's your bleeping job?
This guy is starting to grow on me, by the way.
Norm, what do you do? I like it when you call in, Norm. Seriously, what do you do for work? I'm sure that's not your real name, but what do you do for work, Norm? Don't lie. Be honest. Thank you for the call, Norm. We really appreciate that. He waited 4 days to call in. And
he seems to have a tremendous amount of concern for Brian Shapiro's work schedule. Norm,
let me say this. You should have more concern for yourself, my friend, because when you take that much time and wait on hold, and that's the best you could give us, you have some mental issues. Maybe you forgot to take your medication. 257.
You are growing on me like a fungus, Norm.
257-5396. I think that might be an STD you're talking about, JD. Let's go to David. David, what's going on?
Hey, David.
Hey, what's up, guys? I grew up in Southern California. I was, I think, 6 years old in 1971, the Selma earthquake, and about 30 years old in 1994 Northridge.
Wow.
Dude, earthquakes are scary. I'm telling you, they're scary. But what you felt the other day is nothing compared to what happens close to the epicenter.
Oh, no, David, make no mistake about it. I agree with you. I'm just saying I've never experienced anything like that before. So for me, it was scary.
Yeah,
but
I totally get it. But
Yeah.
if I can share with you just for a second.
Please, go ahead.
In Northridge, 1994, it was about 4:30 in the morning, if I remember correctly. And my wife and I, we were bouncing 2 feet off of the bed.
Whoa.
At 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, that could be a good thing in certain situations, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, David.
I'm going to say 80-20, good, bad there.
Go ahead, David. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, in this particular situation, wasn't. I'm telling you, the noise, and this is what I remember from that. When it stopped, I had a flashlight in the corner of my bed on the nightstand.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you do in California because you don't know.
Right.
And the first thing I did is I shined it in the 4 corners of the room to see if it was still square.
Wow. That's.
And I got to be honest with you, I was amazed that it was.
So let me ask you a question, David, since you have some experience here. I would imagine you live in Vegas now?
I do.
Okay, so when this is going on Thursday and Friday, did you know right away what was going on?
Absolutely. And my thought was that's a very big earthquake somewhere else.
Right, but not here. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm fine, but I still have relatives in California. My daughter and my ex-wife's there. My son's off in college. But so, yeah, my thought was that's a really big earthquake, but
somewhere
a lot
else.
far away from me.
Well, David, I appreciate your perspective, my man. Thank you so much for that phone call. And you're right, by the way. This is not a huge earthquake, what we experienced in Vegas, but for people like us in studio, we've never experienced anything like this before. 257-5396. Let's go to Scott. Scott, what's up?
Hey, hi, Brian.
What's up, Scott?
Well, I was out on my front porch when the earthquake hit, and then I was thinking, oh boy, all of liberal Hollywood is going to fall into the Pacific Ocean, and then we're all going to have beachfront property here.
Leave it to Scott.
Scott, that's a beautiful silver lining.
Surfing now, everyone's surfing now. Come on, surf safari.
So
with
do you
me.
blame Hillary Clinton for the earthquake, Scott?
I think he does.
No, JD, I
don't. Scott, leave it to you to turn an earthquake into a political.
Hope you had a good fourth.
I did.
Hey, thanks a lot, Scott.
I did actually, Scott. Thank you for the call. Leave it to somebody to call in and turn the earthquake into something political. I mean, it's insane.
Hey, Chap, I could be wrong, but I think there are some Republicans that do live in California as well. Too.
Last I checked, there are.
There's like 4.
Yeah. The number to call again is 257-5396. Let's go to Doug. Doug, we're talking about the earthquake. What's up, Doug?
Yes, hi guys. We spoke last time about when we had the gun issue, so it's Dr. Doug calling back. I'm an East Coaster. I wasn't used to this, and all of a sudden I'm couch surfing, and I go outside and look in the backyard, and my 55,000-gallon pool is sloshing around like a cup of coffee that got knocked over.
Whoa. So is this, Doug, is this Thursday or Friday?
This was Fridays. I didn't even know Thursdays, but Fridays I definitely felt. I was sitting on my couch. I have a big old dog. He's about 135. I thought he was bouncing into the couch while he was playing around.
Wow.
Then I realized the dog wasn't bouncing into the couch, and my couch was moving.
So when you when you go outside, you see your swimming pool doing that. That's freaky, man. I mean,
I have never experienced it. I was actually in Haiti after the earthquake doing some relief work, and I felt one little aftershock. And I leaned over to my partner, a friend of mine who we were staying in this nice place that was still standing, and I said, "Where are the trains?" And he said, "This is Haiti. There are no trains."
See, I'd be thinking, the only other thing I would think of is maybe Donald Trump did a cannonball in my pool. That's the only other thing that would come to my mind. Either that or there's an earthquake, Chuck.
I love
Or
how
Doug,
you
I'm
work
sorry.
that into the story, Brian. You're the best.
I'm sorry, I had to do it, Doug. Hey, Doug, I appreciate you calling in with that story, my man. Thank you so much. 257-5396, the number to call. Again, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck, what's going on?
Hey, you've had porn stars before, right, on your show? So I could say this. I was at an Eric Swallowswell town hall meeting when he decided to quit.
He did decide to quit, yes.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with porn stars, though? I'm confused.
Eric Swallowswell?
Oh, he was, and that he's saying that's where he was when the earthquake was going down, right? He was making a joke because Eric Swalwell just got out of the race.
Chuck, you have a great future in stand-up comedy, my friend. So do you actually have something serious to talk about, like the earthquake? Or?
No, it was at a pizza joint, and I've been in a couple. When we had here, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, and like said, the chandeliers and the pool making weird ripples, and the dogs are kind of acting like those. Safari, the Africa, they start to, run crazy and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so it didn't really freak you out then? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it did, but not. I knew what it was. But,
what freaks you out more is Eric Swallowswell. Is that the guy that freaks you out more? Okay.
China Lake, they have those Teutonic weapons. Do you think that could be it too?
I don't know if that's it, Chuck, but I appreciate the call. Thank you for calling in. Not sure what that really has to do with us having porn stars in studio. 702-257-5396.
Well, he figured since we have porn stars in studio, he could make a joke. He could make an extremely basic joke.
Very lame joke. Let's go to 257-5396. Let's go to Brady. Brady, what's going on?
Hey, Brady.
Hey, I heard it wasn't Donald Trump, but actually Hillary Clinton was spotted near Barstow jogging.
I already made that joke.
A minute before.
Brady.
Brady, I thought it was Chris Christie just farting.
Brady, I already made a Hillary Clinton joke. You're like 2 minutes too late, but that was a good attempt. I enjoy a little bit of humor. That's fine. Where were you, Brady, on Thursday and Friday when this thing went down?
I was up by Lone Mountain here in Vegas.
Did you feel it?
Oh, yeah.
You did. So were you freaking out like I was?
No, I've been in a few earthquakes before.
Where? Where at?
California, kind of near Ridgecrest up by Tehachapi Mountains there. It's not too far from where the epicenter was, where Trona is.
Yes. So do you blame left-wing radicals and liberals for the earthquake, or can we just say that, because I know you're a Trump guy, or can we just say that it was just Mother Nature and we have nobody to blame? Is that a fair statement, Brady, or do we have to blame people on the left?
I think you could probably blame Al Gore for this one.
Yep, it was global warming.
Yep.
All right.
Fair
Solid. Enough. Fair enough, Brady. We appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Tech czar.
I appreciate the fact that some of my right-winger listener friends are attempting some humor. I do appreciate that. 257-5396. Let's go to Greg. Greg, what's going on?
Hey, Greg.
Hey, I was at actually the Coliseum listening to Reba McEntire and Brooks and Dunn when that happened.
Okay, so hold on, Greg. You were at Caesars? Is that where that is?
Right. The Coliseum.
Oh,
it's a
okay.
pretty big structure, but it scares you a little bit.
So how many people, Greg, were there when this went down?
It was pretty full.
Did anybody freak out? Was anybody going up, getting up and leaving, or did everybody stay in their seats?
Most people stayed in their seats, but there were some people that were behind us that they beat feet. They were gone. And but they came back later. But the cool thing, Reba was actually performing at the time. And me, I'm from Wyoming. I've been here a while, but I've really never been in an earthquake like that. So it was really strange for me.
So,
but
Greg.
She kept singing, and she just finished, and then she goes, I see something's been going on here. And then they must have told her there's an earthquake.
Wow.
Because people were all shaken up or looking.
So, Greg, let me ask you this, because I spoke to a few people that were at NBA Summer League and a similar circumstance where they're in an arena and they're in their seats, and they said the stands were going back and forth shaking. Is that what you felt when you were in your seats at this concert?
It felt more like a ripple. It felt like things were moving back and forth. And I kind of looked at my wife, and because she felt the day before, but I didn't. I was sleeping, didn't feel any of that. But this one, it felt like it was rippling.
Well, Greg, I appreciate that. I'm glad you're okay, and I appreciate your story. Thank you so much for calling in, 257-5396.
And that's what's key about this is like a lot of these stories, we're talking about people, large amounts of people in a small area, whether it be a stadium or an arena. And that's what took place on Friday night. There was 4 events that were affected. We had the Dodger game between the Dodgers, the Padres in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. Of course, the WNBA game here in Vegas with the Aces and the Mystics was canceled. And then you mentioned the two, of course, the 2 games there, and also the World Series of Poker over at the Rio as well, too.
Well, there was a lot of things that happened during the WSOP, like the guy exposing himself and throwing a shoe at people.
I do want to talk about that. Let me just take a few more. Can we take a few more calls first? Let's go to. I do want to get to that. By the way, you reminded me of that story. Let's go to Neil. Neil, what's going on?
Brian, how's it going?
Doing good, Neil. What's on your mind?
Hey, listen, can I get an official time check on the earthquake in Vegas? It had to be at least a minute, wasn't it?
I don't think it was that long. The estimates, from what I've heard, it was around 20 to 30-second range. That's at least the one on Friday. That's what I heard.
Oh, it had to be longer than that.
Well, that's what I heard. I don't listen. I'm not a professional when it comes to earthquakes and how long they lasted. I'm just saying what I felt on Friday in the comedy club was about 20 to 30 seconds.
I think for some reason I was in my house. My house was like swaying. I think it was like for at least a minute. But I called to comment about the Women's World Cup and also about Mayor de Blasio. I think he's going to be viable. I really do.
No, listen, Neil, I would love to talk about those subjects, but we can't just flip around and talk about different subjects when we're talking about something else. I appreciate that, Neil. Try back when we get into the political segment coming up next. Let's take one more call on the earthquake, and then I do want to talk about this guy who decided
you're very, very sneaky.
that was very sneaky, Neil. 257-5396. Let's go to JD. JD, what's up?
Hey, JD.
Hey, good evening, Brian and JD. This is Mike.
Oh, okay. Mike, I apologize. Go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. No worries. Yeah, on the Steve Sanchez show last night, I know I'm personal friends with the mayor of Ridgecrest, Peggy Breeden.
You are? Wow.
I was a private contractor on China Lake, and I know I've been researching this for the last 3 days now. The Navy, in my opinion, started this chain reaction because The epicenters are 10 miles northeast of Ridgecrest, which is the Echo Range on the Navy base, is where they set off the underground, and I mean giant explosives. NAS, Naval Air Weapons Station, is just a few miles from my daughter's place, and she says for the last 2 months they've been letting off bombs so big it shakes the foundation of the house.
So you think that letting off test bombs...
Do you think that's the cause of the earthquake, though? It's already been determined that it was...
He's saying that it's a naval testing
No,
area.
it's been established already by the USGS.
So the sediments under that base are about 5 miles deep. They don't know exactly where bedrock is, but those are ancient wrinkle faults that have never erupted. And what's really bad is on the border with the base is the Trona explosives plant. They make secret explosive chemicals there that they extract from the lake. Searles Lake is a borax lake on the edge of the Panamint Valley and Death Valley. And above it, just a few miles north of Echo Range, is the Cerro Coso steam generating plant and volcanic range.
JD,
I was telling Steve Sanchez last night, they're worried about possible chain reaction.
JD, I'm up against. Mike, I'm sorry, I'm up against a hard break. I got to let you go. I appreciate that, but I'm up against a hard break. I got to go. I mean, he could have gone on forever. I mean, I guess it's possible. I don't know.
No, the USGS established that it was tectonic plate. It was a 6.6. An earthquake is not going to be caused by any bombs, no matter how strong they are.
We got to take a quick break.
Aftershock.
When we come back, you're not going to believe what President Donald Trump said about Fox News. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Oh, and by the way, he's not going to be working with the British ambassador to the U.S. We'll talk about that as well. For all you Trump supporters out there, would love to hear from you. We'll get to that and much, much more when we come back. Chris Wynn, J.D. Sharp, I'm Brian Shapiro. We'll take a quick break, and we will be back right after this.